Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the Just Start Talking podcast, the show where we help you feel confident and natural speaking English at work, in meetings, and in everyday situations. I'm your host, Jody, and this is episode 18 of season 1. Wow, I can't believe we're here already. Okay, in today's episode, we're talking about something really important. How to keep the conversation going after you've introduced yourself in a business setting. Now, many English learners tell me the same thing. I can introduce myself, but then I freeze.
Uh-oh.
All right, don't let this be you. Does this sound familiar? Maybe you're in a Zoom meeting or standing next to a colleague at a networking event. You've said, "Hi, I'm Maria. I work in marketing at the XYZ company." It's a great start, but then silence takes over. So today, we'll break that silence. I'll give you some practical phrases, vocabulary, and strategies to help you keep talking confidently and naturally. All right, let's get into it. So, why does this even matter? Keeping the conversation going is an important skill in any language, but it's especially important in business English. Why? Because it builds relationships. Small talk and follow-up questions show people that you're interested, curious, and engaged. And in professional settings, those soft skills are often just as important as your job title or technical ability. So, don't just introduce yourself and disappear. Learn how to stay in the conversation. So, here are some phrases to keep the conversation going. I have 5, really powerful and easy to use phrases. These are great after you introduce yourself and you want to connect with the other person. So you could say, "What kind of projects are you working on right now?" This question shows interest in the person's work and opens the door for them to speak. It opens the door for them to tell you, "Oh, I'm working on a project about climate change." It's not a yes or no answer. They have to give you a whole sentence and a little story about what they're working on. Phrase number 2. How did you get into this field? This one invites a story. People love to talk about their journey, and you'll probably learn something new. So how did you get into this field? Well, I started out as an intern, and I became really interested in climate change. Phrase number 3. That sounds interesting. Can you tell me some more? This is a perfect follow-up when someone shares an idea or a story. It keeps the conversation moving and shows active listening. So if they say, "That sounds interesting. Can you tell me more?" Sure. I love climate change. It kind of scares me when I see we don't get enough rain in the summer or the temperatures are really hot. And, I need to keep the air conditioning going sometimes 24/7. 10 years ago, I didn't need to do this. So, this keeps the conversation going. Phrase number 4. How do you handle things in your teams? This is a good way to ask for insight or advice. It's a professional and respectful way to keep the dialogue going. Phrase number 5. It's great to hear that. I've had a similar experience with the same thing. Now you get to share. This builds your connection because it shows common ground. Remember, a good conversation isn't a performance. It's a two-way exchange. You say something, and the person in front of you says something, and you go back and forth. We don't want to go with a yes or a no, so the person just shuts down and walks away. So, what are some key vocabulary words for business conversations? Let's add some useful vocabulary to your toolkit as well. I have 5 words that you're likely to hear or use when you're speaking with business colleagues. Let's start with the word collaboration. This means working with others towards a common goal. For example, our team values collaboration, especially on large projects. Another word is deadlines. These are the due dates for tasks or goals. For example, we are under a tight deadline this week. A third vocabulary word is workflow. You'll probably hear this one a lot. And this is the process or system for how work gets done. For example, we're trying to improve our workflow by using new software. A fourth vocabulary word is strategy. This is another very popular word in business English, particularly in America. It's a plan of action. For example, what's your strategy for increasing sales this quarter? Finally, we have the word challenges. Again, this is a very popular word in business English in America. Challenges are problems or obstacles. For example, one of our biggest challenges is staying on budget. If you can learn these 5, you'll understand more and sound more natural in business discussions. Okay, give yourself a big round of applause. That was a lot. Now, I have some practical tips for my English language learners. Let's talk about strategy a little bit. Not business strategy, but your strategy for keeping the conversation going in English. Here are my tips that work. Tip number 1, listen actively. And this means really focusing. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Listen for key words, tone of voice, and emotions. This will help you, be able to give a much better answer to the other person or add something, more detailed to the conversation. Tip number 2, ask open-ended questions. These are questions that don't have a simple yes or no answer. For example, how do you manage your time when the workload gets busy? This invites a longer, deeper response. The person might need to give you 1 or 2 sentences. Tip number 3, don't aim for perfect grammar. Seriously, stop worrying about being perfect. Aim for being clear, friendly, and present. People care a lot more about your message than your grammar mistakes. They probably won't even notice, to be honest. Tip number 4, practice common business topics. Think about what you talk about often at work. Is it projects, meetings, clients, goals? Practice those types of conversations with a language partner or even by yourself in front of the mirror. I know it sounds stupid, but practicing in front of the mirror really works, and better yet, it's free. If you're so inclined, there's also a lot of apps out there that you can use to practice speaking, but the good old free mirror, always a good option. Finally, tip number 5, repeat ideas to show understanding. This is a great technique in English. Let's say someone says, we've been struggling to get everyone aligned on the project deadline. You can say, so you mean it's been hard to get everyone on the same schedule? You're kind of just repeating back what the other person said. This shows that you're listening and trying to understand. Perfect! Okay, let's practice this together. Let's go through a little bit of a short scenario about how a real business conversation might play out. I'm going to play both people just to show you how some of these phrases and some of these vocabulary words can work in real life. So we have person number 1. Hello, I'm Alex. I'm a project manager in the IT department. So we have person number 2. Nice to meet you, Alex. What kind of projects are you working on right now? And then Alex says, we're developing a new internal system to improve workflow between teams. And then you say, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more? Alex says, sure. It's mostly about automating reports so we can meet deadlines more easily. And then you can say, that makes sense. I've had similar experiences in my own team. We had to update our strategy last quarter to meet client needs. Okay, see how natural that sounds? We didn't use any complex grammar. We just used curiosity, clarity, and connection. That's right. We made a connection with the other person. So, some final thoughts here. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. Conversation is not about having perfect English. It's about showing interest. When you ask questions, share your thoughts, and stay engaged, you become a better communicator, no matter what your language level. A good listener who asks intelligent questions becomes the smartest person in the room. And remember, the more you start talking, the easier it gets. That's what this podcast is all about, right? So, this week, I want to challenge you all. The next time you're in a meeting or attending an event and you have to introduce yourself, don't stop there. Ask a question. Share a thought. Keep the conversation going. You can say something like, hello, my name is Jody. It's nice to finally meet you. We both work in the marketing department, right? My desk is near the window. It's the desk with the white orchid. Where's your desk? What is your team working on right now? Okay, you know where I'm going with this, right? You've got this. All right, that's it for today. That's it for our episode of the Just Start Talking podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for showing up for yourself and your English goals. We achieve our goals one step at a time. Each journey begins with a single step. Keep taking those steps. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend or colleague who's learning English also. And don't forget to follow us for more weekly tips and real-world language advice. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and just start talking. Bye for now. See you next week.